Good afternoon, everyone. I, Shashank, on behalf of NEN and Vadhani Foundation, would like to invite you all for this webinar and also introduce our expert. Mr. Manjunath M. Gowda, a serial entrepreneur, has held various positions in the software industry, right from a software engineer to project lead to managing director to co-founder and CEO in various companies in his 20 plus years of professional experience. He was the co-founder and CEO of S7 Software, which he ran successfully for 6 years before it got acquired by Blue Coat Systems, a California-based cybersecurity company, in January 2010, where he served as the managing director. Prior to co-founding S7, Manjunath was responsible to get Bristol Technology, a Connecticut-based company, to Bangalore and headed the unit as managing director for 6 years. He has also worked in various managerial and technical roles at Wipro, Bristol Technology, US, and Sonata Software. Before I hand over the floor to Manjunath, here are a few reminders for the audience. You will all be on mute. You may ask a question by typing in the panel provided. Over to you, Manjunath.
Thanks, Shashank. Really appreciate it for the opportunity and the introduction. Hi all, good afternoon. This is Manjunath here. As he explained, I'm the CEO and co-founder of i7 Networks. We work on BYOD security tool. BYOD mainly means bring your own device to work, which is actually happening everywhere. You already have your smartphones which downloads emails. Emails is just the beginning. There are many organizations where people actually access a lot more than email. And the good things always come with bad things, all packaged. So is the new BYOD. This cartoon which I'm displaying pretty much explains the issue. What actually people for whom IT is new and how things work new, just want to explain. Usually in companies, right, they don't allow your own devices to be used. They always, the IT department in a company always gives their own devices, be it desktop or laptop, which is completely secure. They put exactly what they want and they don't allow you to put anything else beyond that, and they have complete control over it because it's theirs, and they put enough agents into the system. It was easier. What happened was there was a new phenomenon called mobile devices and smartphones. People started using it and it started doing a lot more things when you thought, and it gave the power to the user, not to the IT department, which is all good, but what happened was the security became a major issue. I'll just talk a little bit more about it as we proceed. I just wanted to give a baseline on what I'm talking about. So basically, from the cartoon it says the Me Enterprise. Welcome to the Me Enterprise. The new phenomenon, the new world is going to be very different than what it was. People will start using their own devices for everything. So this is the agenda. Just explain what does BYOD means to enterprise, advantages, challenges, how real is a threat, what are the tools, our value proposition a little bit, and then I'll go jump into Q&A. Try to explain everything about entrepreneurship, to my previous experience, to this experience, to very specific to BYOD also. The new scenario. What's happening is, as I explained to you, it was all IT controlled, IT managed, IT given, laptops and desktops, everything. Suddenly people start getting their own devices. IT got confused completely. It's a completely new paradigm. IT has no control over the device, what you do, what kind of OS, and start new good things, but new troubles also. The new paradigm is also called what you call the consumerization of IT enterprise. The consumer decides the IT in the enterprise, which is a new thing. People, especially the employees who start using their device, started demanding my device, my user experience, my independence to use whatever device I want to, whatever apps I want to, and my privacy. So it's became a my world, a my enterprise compared to enterprise. Why does BYOD matters, right? The IT could have just banned everything. Don't throw everything in the entrance and come in. They can't do. 4 top drivers. Huge, great, complete employee satisfaction. I mean, people love downloading emails, downloading documents, accessing their HRMs, accessing their intranets from the device of their choice, from the place of your choice, cafe, coffee day, to wherever you are doing work. highly productive. Employee love it. Highly mobile. You don't have to be in the office. You can do a lot more things when you're away. And decrease cost for the company. I mean, companies now don't have to buy all those devices. You get your own and you do whatever you want to do. Decrease cost. Cisco actually went on to record to say that BYOD has delivered 20% savings. Not just that, we don't pay for it, our users are happier. I mean, where do you get? You always pay to make people happy. This is suddenly a different situation where you're not paying and people are happier. Very, very different paradigm. IT professionals, actually the guys who control the whole IT security, they said that it's become a productivity necessity. Without that, productivity is going down. Gartner, who is one of the guys who generally predicts on how things are going, they say that by end of 2014, 90% of organizations will support employee-owned devices and enterprise apps which run on them. And they also go ahead and say that by end of 2013, 80% of businesses will allow tablets, iPad mainly, into the organization. It's their own iPad. You get to the organization, you do whatever you want to do. You're in meeting, you don't today, right? Go to any executive meeting, everybody's with iPad, doing some company work, email, this spreadsheet, that Salesforce, everything happens on the tablets nowadays. Where do they use BYOD? Everything, as I said, company email to instant messaging, to ERPs, Salesforce automation, supply chain, everything. I mean, actually today it's getting into a situation where it pretty much does, there's an app for everything today. Anything. I mean, collaboration is becoming so high. Because of that, productivity is becoming so high, it's almost coming to a stage where you cannot survive without your BYOD. India is catching up. In the Western world, you cannot survive without one of these devices. In fact, the average device per user in the US is 3.5. iPad and iPhone, his own laptop, along with company given device, and now the watches are also entering into the system. So it's going to be a huge amount. In fact, Stanford, you join Stanford University, right? They give you 6 IPs, that is 6 devices of your own, which you can connect to the corporate to the school network. Your gaming device, to your Kindle e-reader, it's just growing. So what is stopping them? IT is scared, really scared. Security for both data on the networks and compliance. Compliance is basically the compliance and the governance, basically from the legal department and the HR department says, and all the government compliance says, you have to know all the devices that are in the network, you have to know everything they do, you have to know this, you have to know that, and they have to produce these reports to the government and to their customers, their clients, once in a quarter, once in a year, completely. And if something goes wrong, they have to produce all this to the court. It was easier when the devices were the company given. It's a huge problem because it's employee owned, they have no control, and you keep changing. Today you have Android for 6 months, you throw that and buy a new iPhone for next 6 months. So IT is literally freaking out. Security, again, 2 things. They are little worried about, I'll just come to the next slide so you'll understand. So one of the biggest issues is 75% of the CIOs, the Chief Information Officer, who actually controls the security and the IT of a company, says compliance and security are the biggest challenge allowing BYOD. This is one of the dark reading survey. Dark reading is sort of a master in security parts. They say 2 issues why mobile device matters. Loss of a device that has sensitive information. For example, right, you are accessing corporate information. There's a lot of critical information data on the device. Your company blueprints, your company IPs, some of the major discussions about the new product, new patent you had, all this data reside on your iPads, iPhones, any phones. And the second one is the chance of device getting infected is very high. You have so many app stores, so many apps, many of them have virus, malware, you have no clue, you download and install them, and then you go and connect to the corporate network. These malware transfer from your device to the network and attack the network so badly, the network has to be got down for many days, hours, which lose in productivity. Huge issues. These two things are big issues actually. Again, the threats, top security threats are, again, don't assume that a thief is coming from outside to steal. The biggest issue is the authorized employees, authorized users in the office are one of the biggest threat actually. intentional or accidental. They might steal on purpose, or they have no idea that they are basically doing something stupid so that other people can copy. But that's happening. Another thing is what you call application and device vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities are like the holes in the device, holes in the application, which can be easily misused by a miscreant to get all the information on the device. I mean, if I tell you all the issues that happens, right, people will get scared. It's very easy for me to install a malware on your iPhone or iPad, whatever, so that I can get a copy of all the SMS you get, and you have no clue. I can get an email copy of everything you email, you download, you have no clue. Imagine you have the double authentication banking algorithm, right? You log into a bank and they say, hey, send SMS. You get a OTP or whatever. Assume it lands on my phone, and before you can access, I access and I do some transaction. You have no idea. I stole the money from you and you had no idea. Why? Because you installed an app, some free app, which is a gaming app, and along with it, I put my malware into it and you had no idea. So it's becoming very, very dangerous, actually, the malwares. Overall business review, why all this matters? As I said, 75% security, 61% worry about an infected device getting into corporate network. This is very interesting. 79% of the mobile businesses, 79% had a mobile incident last year alone. There was an issue with mobile threat, mobile theft, mobile incident of 79% of the companies just last year. And the cost is huge. Each incident ended up $500,000 cost for the company, minimum. And $1.5 million when it goes to the settlement. Huge amount of money. Again, it's becoming so tough actually for the companies to manage. It's not just, when IT gives a computer just like one given PC, one given OS version, everything is fine. Here there are minimum 14 different OS types and they're growing. Add all the versions and the models to it. And not only that, the number of phones in the enterprise is becoming huge, 5-fold in last 2 years. Imagine 5 times devices entering the corporate environment, which they have no control. And they have no control. I mean, like less than 10% enterprises actually know what these devices are trying to do. What are they accessing? Is it good, bad, dangerous? They have no clue. It's not that we don't have security tools. We have security tools. Security is not new to us. But it was different before. Why different? Remember, it was IT-owned devices. IT, the company used to own the devices. They exactly knew what it is. It was not a variable. It was perimeter security. It's like how we used to run the countries, like we have border security. Before it was all border. Now it's internal. There are a lot of issues internally also. It's exactly the thing. It was all perimeter security so far. All threats coming from outside you catch. They never design any tools from inside threat. BYOD creates inside threat because you take the device right into the office, inside the office, escaping the firewall. Then it's a threat coming directly inside. Facts which really scales the IT. Many facts. Very funny thing actually. You're supposed to have a password on your devices. Because we have a lot of sensitive data. Even if you lose, you go to a bar, you go to a discotheque, you go to a restaurant, you take your device everywhere. Chance of losing is very high. And you're supposed to have a auto lock, you're supposed to password protect, but the numbers say something else. 90% of them disable auto lock. It will never lock by itself. Many people don't even have a password for the devices. It looks very funny, but they don't. When they don't, it becomes that much easy for security to breach. More than 40 devices are lost every year. Imagine every country has this issue. You lose a device, you have no idea where it's gone, and that person can access. And even the statistics say that 1 in 3 chances that guy will sell that information on the device to somebody else. It seems. Biggest fear, malware. You go download whatever apps you want to do, Chinese, Russian, Hong Kong, free apps, download them. They all have malware. Stealing information from your device, putting it to servers in their countries, or creating many attacks on the networks in the office. Malwares, and people don't realize that they're installing malwares, and they carry the malware to the companies, and company networks are under threat from inside attacks. Most of the mobile devices have huge OS and application vulnerabilities. you don't upgrade your OS, especially Android, right? In the Android world, we are generally 2 or 3 upgrades behind what Google does because we are in control of our OEMs, Samsung, HTC, our carriers, Airtel, Vodafone. It's not Android, it's not Google. So we are behind, which means that we have a lot of holes, which people know that we have holes, security holes. People take advantage of security holes and can create havoc. And you don't have, how many people have security software on their devices? Very less. I mean, I don't have, to be frank. Not many people have. Less than 5% across the global smartphone market has any security on their software, on their device. While malware growth, 600% in the last 2 years. Huge growth. Here is the malware growth. I mean, China, you see China, India, huge growth. It has actually of lately they are all doubled. You can imagine the number of malwares. Look at that. In 2009, there was hardly 1,000 plus. In 2012, it's close to actually 100,000 actually. The number is a little skewed, but December 2012, we had close to 100,000 malwares. There are many kinds of malwares. I mean, Trojan SMS. I told you about the story, how SMS can be Trojaned. There is rootware, adware. There is even the ransomware. Recently, there was a malware which was very present everywhere. It said that I'm an antivirus, I'll remove every virus from your device free. Everybody downloaded and installed. Once installed, it locked the whole device, and it said that unless you give $10, I forget the exact amount, I won't unlock and I will delete all your photos, everything. People got so scared because they had so much sensitive information, especially their loud photos which they don't have anywhere else and they don't back up. They paid money to actually unlock their own phone. There are many such things which keep hearing. Really dangerous malwares are growing. Look at these threats. How they in 2000 they're divided. Basically 32% steal information. You have no idea they are present on your device, but they steal information. Another 8% they go and reconfigure the device. 13% they send content to premium numbers and other things, which increases your bill. The other person makes money. You have no idea many times. There are many coming. Actually, I just put 6. There are more than 10 different types of things coming, and they're all into this. And I think 2013-14 will be a major malware for mobile years. So what tools do exist to solve it? Of course, I mean, like you have issues, you have security holes. How do you solve it? This is what I've created actually, what I call the mobile security tools quadrant. So where I say, okay, the one at the device level, one at the network level. For people who don't understand, I'll just explain it more in detail. When a device connects to a network, what you put on the device to check the security is at device level. What at the network layer you sit and check is a network layer. Many times I give an example, like for example, if you go to a 5-star hotel in your car, the car gets checked at the entrance, right? That is at the device level. And it drops the people at the gate and it goes away. The people walk into the hotel and the people get checked. That I call it the network layer, basically. So there are MDMs. What is expansion is mobile device management. Then there is MAM, mobile application management. Then there is mobile dual persona, which is like official and personal, 2 different persona. And what I call the network, I7 Networks plays specifically at the network layer. We are pretty one of the few who plays in the network layer, what we call the mobile network access control. I'll explain to you the difference a little bit. See, this is, let me come back to what I showed you a few minutes back. There are 2 biggest issues. Loss of a device that has sensitive information, that is solved by MDM, mobile device management. An infected device getting into the enterprise network, that is solved by us, what we call MNAC, mobile network access control. These are 2 biggest issues and they are 2 different tools. MDM, what it does is basically, it puts a client on your device, so it knows where you are, what you're trying to do, everything about your device. So assume you lose the device, the administrator in the company can actually wipe out, clean your device so that the person, whoever finds it, gets the device, of course, but will not get to access to the information. Or if you actually leave the company and join a competitor, right? In that time also the company actually wipes out the device so that you don't carry any potentially patentable company secrets to your competitor. It also does little more things, like for example, like it'll remember I told you nobody puts a password. It'll enforce a password. You have to have a complex password. It also tells you location information. For example, you lost a device. Generally, administrator can know where you lost a device because of the GPRS or GPS positioning and all those things. It also checks for posture, what I call the posture assessment. I don't know how many people know. There's something called jailbroken and rooted, where they change the mechanics of the OS locks so that they can do whatever they do. Even Apple, if Apple is not allowed, Apple would not have given the permission for you to do it, you can still do it. It's a little scary because it will open up backdoor for me and virus and other things to come in. So even checks for that. This is MNAC, what we do actually. So we protect the corporate network from the malicious mobile devices. We give complete visibility. We even check the health of the device, whether it's infected, malicious, compromised. And once we collect all the information, we calculate a number. And if we find that it is infectious, we don't allow that to enter the corporate network at all, so that it doesn't go and infect other devices or bring the networks down or anything like that. So this is, I'll just go to the last part of it. I should be done in the next 5-10 minutes so that I can keep the last 20 minutes for questioning. This is where i7's Peregrine 7, what we call value proposition comes. We protect the enterprise network by dynamically detecting and fingerprinting all personal devices. We basically detect every device that every wireless device that tries to connect to the network, and we fingerprint them. What I mean by fingerprinting is we know exactly whom it belongs to, what OS it is, what MAC ID, what IP address, what OS version they have, when did they come before, when did they come, what all the things they did, everything. We also check the maliciousness, how badly it is infected, whether it's infected or not, whether it's compromised. When I say compromised, is it jailbroken or rooted, whether it's infected with any intrusions. So we check all those things and then give a report. And also the beauty of this solution is we are 100% agentless. We don't put any agent on the device. You come and connect as if you connect at home. You have no idea that we are behind. We are doing all these things in the corporate environment. And also in the people who knows will appreciate that in the IT networks, right, usually putting anything in line is very dangerous because it creates a lot of performance issues. Usually compare inline to a hump on the road. If there's a hump on the road, right, you reduce the speed and you catch up, you lose performance, right? That's inline. When you do outline, it's like a bump or a hump, not on the road but on the sidewalk or the footpath, which doesn't affect the cars. So basically we are on the footpath so that we don't affect your speed, performance or your user experience in any way, but still we will know who are you, what device it is, and we can even deny or allow your access basically. That's the beauty of that. We call that as to know and to protect. People in IT will really appreciate the value of zero touch and zero latency. It reduces the burden so much. There's a saying in security. Security done without the knowledge of the people is the way security should be done. Anything you bother is painful. So this is the chart what we do. When a device enters through Wi-Fi or corporate network or 3G, 4G, right? We actually check from where you're coming. Complete visibility of who are you, what are you. I told some of the questions. Who are you, what device, all those things. We check whether this device can be allowed or not inside the corporate network. If it's not, we deny it. If it can be allowed, we come and check one more. Are you compromised, malicious, jailbroken, all those things. If you think it's again you're breaking the law, we just throw you out. Then we come and check the vulnerability and malicious. Do you have any malwares? Do I see any intrusions? All those things are checked here at runtime and deny if you find it's not worth allowing. Then we do granular policy enforcement. Granular policy enforcement is something like iPhone can do only this, iPad can only do this, Androids can do, Androids 2 and below can do this, Android 4 and above can do this. So there's a lot of granular policies what you can set automatically, basically putting the intelligence of decision making into the machine so the IT need not worry about it. Of course, we do the complete compliance reporting, which gives you every bit of report information so that you can submit to government, compliance officers, whatever it takes. So these are the questions we answer, I told you. I mean, just repeating, but I just want to make sure that I cover that. What devices are getting into corporate network? Whom do they belong to? Are they infected? Are they compromised? How vulnerable are they? What servers are they trying to access in the corporate network? What apps are running? This is another critical issue actually in the enterprise. People are really scared about Dropbox and similar things. I'm sure everybody knows about Dropbox. It's very easy to copy any document from the corporate office, put it in Dropbox. All your devices across the world will have a copy on their device in no time. And corporates are really worried about it. So they want to limit such accesses so that we can actually tell them what apps are running on them and is there a way to control them and comprehensive everything. So deployment, again, these are our innovations which we have filed for patent in the US. Patent pending algorithms, 100% agentless. You just walk in, connect, and we know who you are, what you are, without putting anything on your device. Completely offline. We don't create bumps, humps on your road. We are on the sidewalk. We don't affect you. You don't have to do hundreds of devices in your network. Just one device in the network, good enough. And we support all of it, not just going into the office. Even if you connect to the corporate network from your home, cafe, coffee, Wi-Fi, or anything, we know exactly where you're coming from and what you're trying to do. So some of the, I think I've done a little earlier. So just before I go to the questions, I just wanted you to understand the value of passwords actually. You see that, right? If you put a 6-character lowercase, all lowercase password, just take 5 minutes to break. If you put numbers and symbols, 9 characters, right? See, 19,985 years to break. That shows the password value of password and how complex it can be. Shashank?
Mr. Manjunath?
Shashank, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm done with the presentation. I can take the questions or I can go a little more deeper if you want.
We'll begin with the question answer round because there are many questions that are lined up for you.
Perfect. Perfect.
The first one is from Ashima Goel. She asks, doesn't monitoring the mobile devices infringe the right of the user? Like, would they not?
Very good. I
like
understand. That's a very good question. Very good question actually. This is a major war that is being fought in the global lines. So what's happening, the rule in the US and many Western countries including India is what you do on the corporate network, right, belongs to the company. What you do away from the corporate network is completely your own proprietary. So we don't intrude into what you do when you're away from the office, or even in the office you're using 3G. But what you do on the corporate network, trying to access corporate networks, right, corporate assets, actually as per the rule belongs to the company, and we can know those things mainly for the protection purpose, not for the knowledge purpose. So an example is that if you access Facebook from your phone using a 3G connection, it's all yours. On the other hand, if you access Facebook from the company network, right, you log into company network and you access Facebook, right, it becomes company's property by legal. Another issue is, for example, right, if you go to Facebook using, assume you work for a company, you connect to the company network, and then from the network you go to Facebook and you leave a very bad comment which is very religious, insensitive, caste insensitive, something, right? The government has all the rules to sue the company as well as the employee. So it becomes company's headache to solve the problem. So company says whatever you do using my property, which is internet and everything, it's company's property, right, becomes their headache. So that's why this whole BYOD has become a major legal issue. Whom does it belong to, right? Why are you infringing into this? Privacy issues. For example, right, when you put a client, that's why we do completely agentless. We don't put a client. So which means that we don't know what you do when you go away from the office, which is very critical for you. Example of, I'll tell you a case actually what happened in the US is some people were doing this mobile device control, putting an agent on the device. When you put an agent on the device, you know all the apps that you have installed, not what you run on the corporate network, what you have installed on the device. And the IT manager came to know that a person's sexual orientation is little different than others because he had some app installed. and he, as usual, because he came to know, he started telling all other people, and it becomes a major issue, and that guy sued the company saying that you found out and messed up my privacy, everything, and the company had to give huge amount of money as a settlement. So there are a lot of this. It's a new issue, major issue that's going to come up. Privacy versus control. Till what level can you control, and till what level privacy is critical? That's one of the reasons why we started with agentless. We don't put agent on your device, so we don't know what you do at your private level. It's just that when you do on the corporate network, we just know only that part which affects the corporate security, not at your personal level.
The next question is from Pallavi Kishore. One of the top threats against BYOD is IT security. As of now, IT policies in most organizations is not robust as far as BYOD is concerned. Could you please throw some light on some of the IT policies which should be implemented as part of the BYOD policy?
What she says is exactly true. A lot of companies have just allowed the devices to connect to the corporate network without any policies. It's very dangerous, and I expect that to change in the next years to come. There will be a huge policies enrolled and enforced across organizations, which is already going on in the US. Some of the policies I expect is, one is basically policy password enforcement. They will make sure that you have a password. They will make you sign an agreement which says that they can remote wipe out the device completely when you lose the device, or if you leave us and go to your competitor. There is still controversy about that, because they can also wipe out your personal photos and stuff, but they make you agree for that, which also tells people that you have to back up your device very often, so that even if company wipes out, or even if you lose it, you have the backup on your laptop or somewhere. The other policies also comes into issue is that make sure that you get the virus check on your device regularly. You don't share your device with other people if you have company confidential information on it. So there are a lot of policies are going to come actually, and there is another policy which might come saying that to separate out the personal and official space. There is software available for that, which I told in my quadrant. But policies mainly on the password. What you can access, what you cannot access, where you can share, and the ability for them to remote wipe out the device completely. All those things are is very soon coming actually.
Well, Manjunath, Pallavi has another question for you.
Sure. Sure.
If suppose you download some data from outside of the company network, there is a threat that when you log back into the company network, that Trojan might infect the company network as well. What precautions can an IT administrator take to prevent this? Can a possibility of firewall between office data and non-office data be explored?
Exactly. This is a very good question. Is exactly the problem what we are solving from ISO networks using our Peregrine 7. So what we do is we create kind of a firewall or a gateway at the edge of the network. When a device tries to connect, we scan the traffic and we find out whether this device is malicious or not, whether there's any intrusions coming out, and we actually basically deny this device getting into the corporate network if we see a malicious one, and we alert the user saying that we see a new malware activity on your device which did not exist. Say, for example, last time you came in and now you see it, then with the possibility of suggestion that what they need to do to clean up that before they can enter the corporate network. And that's the exact problem we are solving actually. Make sure that the device, we know that it goes outside, we also know that it goes and downloads whatever data apps on their own, but that should not allow a Trojan to come into the corporate network and create havoc. We prevent that from happening.
The next question is from Mr. Praveen. He says, you mentioned earlier in your presentation that companies like Cisco are saving a lot by allowing employees to bring their own devices to the office. But are they not investing heavily on security for so many personal devices? Can you talk about the financial aspect of this?
So I don't know the inside details of Cisco. I just read their white paper and their PR. But in general, I know exactly how it works. it's not really a huge saving actually, because you allow employees to get their own device. That amount what you would have spent on the device, you're actually spending pretty much on the security. But what I also found out that is the security cost is not as high as actually the device itself. So there is a little savings there. The next savings there also is that what they also found out that these employees are so satisfied when you allow your own devices. The attrition has reduced itself. The attrition cost actually is also very high. If you have a satisfied employee who does not quit the company and continues to work because of the freedom he gets, there is a saving in HR cost. And device cost, HR cost does not really add up to security. Security is not as bad as it sounds. The cost is not really as bad, but yes, it's not 100% savings. Some of the savings from the device will go back to the security. And not only that, there's one other thing I want to tell you is the productivity increase. The amount of money you make, the amount of increased revenue a company makes because of BYOD is huge, because it's no longer 9 to 5 job where you work and you're gone. The collaboration is so high. Somebody's working, they need some piece from somebody else. Because of the BYOD, that somebody else will get the message immediately and he responds, and that one piece of information is good enough for this guy to continue to the next step. He got that piece from this guy because they're all connected to BYODs. So there is a huge productivity gain also because of the usage of BYOD.
Kapil Marwaha has a request. He wants your advice for him. He has a startup having online software products and having about only 10 employees. So what advice would you like to give him on having online security in his startup?
I think in a startup, I think you should probably, if you have just 10 employees, unless the data what you are working on is not, for example, right, you can be 10 people and you can be working in pharmacy, you're doing highly patented drugs, then you are really worried about the data. Unless you are not into that highly stuff, 10 employees, you need not worry so much. But if you still want to have minimal security so that your data doesn't leak or all those things, a good bet is like our kind of a tool. I mean, I think for 10 employees, we have a free eval tool which you can download and install at your one place. You get a complete visibility of like what are devices coming into network, what are they trying to do, and alerts when they do something which you are not supposed to do. So that's good enough for you. I think just a free eval from us should be enough for you to start.
The last question is coming from Manish Singh. He asks, how do you convince employees to take simple security measures like having security locks on their personal devices or not downloading unauthorized items off the net? If suppose you cannot stop them, how can you force them not to do the same?
So there are 3 ways of doing these things. One is basically people are given a training of what not to do and all those things, and they are made to sign an agreement so that they conform to the rules. It's usually done in most of the companies. But the problem with is being human, you sign certain documents and you don't follow that. Then there are 2 other methods to do that. One is like I7's Peregrine. What it does is it never allows you to do certain things, and even if you do, it doesn't allow the device to connect to the network. And when you find that your device is not connected to the network, and you get a SMS or email saying that we are not able to connect because of so and so, then you are forced not to do those things because you are not allowed to connect to the network. Another solution is what I call the MDM, where they put a client on the device and they control your behavior completely. Like they force you the password, they force you to not to install certain applications, to install only these kind of applications. That way again they force you to do all these things. But with the MDM, the only issue is privacy issue. Because there's a client on the device, wherever you go, whatever you do, there are chances for the company and the IT administrator and sometimes your manager to know what you are. There was a classic case of an employee not responding to emails, and the IT manager, which happened again in the US and it's in the court actually, the IT manager goes to find out why is this person not responding, where is this person, and that person happens to be in a theater watching a movie, and the manager sends an SMS to this employee saying that you are watching a movie in this theater and you are not responding to my emails. So she gets fired, and the employee files a case saying I'm fired is okay, but they using this information is intrusion into my privacy, and she has filed a $10 million or $20 million case. So plus and minus. There are ways to do it, and there are privacy intrusions. I think going forward, these two will be huge thing. BYOD is a fact which you cannot deny, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever. But privacy and security will be at the borderline. What is security, what is privacy is becoming a major issue, especially the PRISM happening in the US. The government's looking on everything. There is a section of the crowd who are really worried about what is privacy, what is security, what is security, what is the gray line between them, and everything is ending up to the court. So I think next few years the court will come out with clear guidelines on what you can do and what you cannot do on a mobile device.
Well, thank you very much, Manjunath, for that interesting session. Thank you to all our audience for participating in the webinar. We are glad that the questions kept coming in, but due to a lack of time, we are unable to answer them all. Please do send in your feedback and suggestions to us at eclub@nenglobal.org. Also, if you found the session interesting, feel free to blog or post about it. The recorded version of the webinar will be available on www.youtube.com/user/eclubnen online by tomorrow. Also, join us for our next webinar on Cloud Computing for Startups by Mr. Varun Rajni, the founder and president of Cloud Consulting at BlazeClan Technologies on 4th of September at 3 p.m. Thank you once again and have a nice evening.